Super Duty Tough Work, the most infamous podcast on planet Earth, is back in the building again. My people, what is good? 2024. What is good? Are you doing things?
Yes.
Do you have plans?
Mm-hmm.
Are you executing those plans? Are you loving hip hop, listening to music, enjoying life? If so, you're winning. You're winning. We welcome you to the show. My name is Blueprint. My illustrious co-host Logic is also in the building. How you doing today, sir?
Doing good, man. You know, life is good. Life is good. Life is good.
Yeah, man. You know, the weather is starting to break. We're having a warmer week.
Well, tomorrow, on Monday, we supposed to get snow.
What?
So Monday, Tuesday, yep. It's the snow coming back. So
Damn.
we had a good week. You know what I'm saying? We had a good week. You know what I mean?
I took it for granted.
Yeah, we had a good week. I actually rode my bike around the neighborhood.
What?
Took some walks, you know, my dog and things while it was nice. So,
man,
you know.
I meant to clean out my gutters and I just been bullshitting. I thought this was going to last a couple days longer.
Nah, bruh. This week is going to be a wrap. Now, I don't know how long it's going to last after this coming week, you know, as far as the cold, but
all right.
Yeah, some snow about to hit us.
All right, well, let me take my ass to the grocery store today then, because I know
right.
I ain't trying to leave once the snow hit.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Man. So, you know, we welcome you all to the show, man. We appreciate the support we've been getting, you know, this year. We just set the goal to do the show more frequently. And so far, we've been on it. You know, we've had a couple weeks off since the start of the year. But, hey, we like 6 weeks into it. I think we done rocked like 4 out of 6 or 5 out of 7 or something. So we kicking ass. And how many other podcasts who ain't got major money behind them is more consistent than us?
Come on. You know. Come on.
If any,
and
not many.
And my man's got a record coming, you know what I'm saying? Putting in that work. You know what I mean?
You see it.
Falling down is coming soon.
It's coming soon. I didn't even talk about. See, I'll just do the podcast and forgot about that. Yo, April 23rd.
Yeah.
Falling down. It's been a long time. It's some of y'all been listening to this podcast. I ain't dropped the record since y'all been listening.
Facts.
That's how long it's been. Y'all just know me as a podcaster. Damn shame. Damn shame. I'm slipping. But hey, your man's is a well-respected artist with the fan base who cares about what he does.
Yeah.
And the campaign, if you watching, you know I'm rolling this thing out. Taking my time, hitting people with the content, busting them in the heads, and we slowly getting there. Music videos going to be shot next week and whatnot. And, you know, we get into this thing, man. Pre-orders been going fucking damn well. Mm-hmm. Thank y'all. Thank the supporters of this podcast for supporting. Thank y'all for buying the books too. You know what I mean? Let's get it, man. Everything is up in 24.
Yeah, man. It's going down.
Damn, it feel good to see people up on it.
Yeah. You got some shows coming up too, right?
Yes.
Columbus, Dayton, Cincinnati.
Let's talk about it. Columbus,
come on, man.
April 27th. Saturday, April 27th at Ace of Cups. Myself with DJ Detox. Illogic. This first show we done played together in a long motherfucking time.
It's been years. Yeah. Me and my man Product gonna be on there. Come on. Knocking it out. Nothing but the hits, baby.
Come on, man. J Ross. You know what I'm saying? Kaleem. And my man Tino from Dayton. Let's go. Get your tickets now. You know. Yeah, we got about a little more of 2 months to go, 2.5 months to go. But yeah, get your tickets. You know. That's Sunday. I ain't announced this nowhere else on the newsletter, but hey, the 28th, we rocking in fucking Cincinnati at Radio Artifact. Yeah, it's going down. This only you guys who are on the podcast know about this so far. Tickets should be on sale next week for that. You know what I'm saying? That show features Tino, Sons of Silverton, POC. You know what I'm saying? We rocking this motherfucker. Dayton, the 26th. Me, Tino, Picket Fence, Unjust, at Blind Bob's. Let's go. Y'all know it's been a long time since I played this show, and I'm excited.
Yeah.
I got to learn my lyrics again. But
how's that going?
It's been that long. It's coming back to me. I'm starting early. I got to start early because, there's certain shit that's like, damn.
Mm-hmm.
Forgot the whole rap.
Yeah.
But, yeah, man, we doing it. And, we thank y'all for supporting us. And we're going to rock this shit, man. So today's episode, You know by the title. The title of this episode is Knowing When to Call It Quits.
Yeah.
This is a deep episode we're going to get in today because this is something that I've been kind of wanting to talk about for several weeks. This week's episode is about me parking my truck and moving back into music full time. And what happened and what ultimately led me to the decision to come back over here. And there were some lessons that I take away from it that will apply to whatever you got going on. You may be at a peak at something, you may be at a valley. But I hope that if you look at this episode when you're going through this, that you can kind of use it as a guidepost, as something to kind of say, hey, I'm going through something like he's going through. Or maybe you reference it later. But I want to tell you guys what went on, what happened, and then like what ultimately kind of got me back here and how this is going. And we're going to talk about lessons. There's like mad bullet points from this experience. And, we're going to take a break and we're going to talk about knowing when to call it quits. And we'll take a break. We'll be right back.
Yeah.
We got you stuck off the realness, the most infamous, you heard of us. Official podcast murderers, the show comes equipped with viewpoints to share. Grown man ideas for all those who care and want to grow, so go ahead and download. Every single week with a brand new episode. You're not alone in this world, cousin, so we share information and honest discussion and keep repping a culture like we supposed to. They spread gossip, but they never come close to. I can hear it inside their tone. They talk about the industry but never left their home. You get laced up with bullet points and such, plus empowering topics that they never would touch. You can put your whole network against the team, but Super Duty Tough Work's the MVP. Most valuable podcast on MP3. Priceless info, but all of it's free. So take these words home and think them through. Super Duty Tough Work is coming at you. You are now listening to Super Duty Tough Work with your host, Blueprint. Raw and uncut. Adult conversations. No shucking, no jiving, and no bullshit.
All right, folks, we're back. Super Duty Tough Work, the most infamous podcast on planet Earth, the most educational, the most informational, the most entertaining. What don't we do? I don't know. Mad tools in the tool belt, folks. But this week we're talking about knowing when to call it quits. Now, if you're a listener of the show, you know, the last 2 years I've been involved in trucking. Got my CDL at the end of 22. Start driving in 22. Drove 22 to 23. After driving for a year, I got my truck about 15 months of driving experience. Bought my truck last July, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And spent about a month fixing it up and started driving under my own authority in August of 23. But recently, as of maybe like this week, actually, my trucking authority is officially shut down. You know what I mean? So you have to go through shit with the government to kind of shut it down. It's not just like you.
Yeah, can't turn it off.
Nah, it's not just like a mouse click away. It's not like that. It's not like a subscription to an app. It's completely different. You know what I mean? And so, you know, you got to go through third parties and get people to do it. And it's like, so that shut down with the state, with the government at the national level. Shut down my insurance last week and parked my truck. My truck is running now, but I chose to park it, which is kind of what we say in trucking when you just like, look, I'm not gonna run this motherfucker no more because it ain't worth it. But I parked my truck, meaning that it's just parked at a parking facility where I was parking anyway, and I'm just not running right now. I can obviously reactivate my authority at any time I want to, pick back up at any time I want to. But my decision to kind of shut it down was a very tough one. And anybody who knows what I put into just trucking over the 2 years that I was in it, knows that I was going pretty damn hard. You know, I had done a lot in 18 months, 19 months, more than a lot of motherfuckers have done in 5-10 years in the industry. But, you know, trucking is in a tough place in general. In general, we're in a downswing in the trucking market. And so it's a little bit tougher to make margins. But for me, it was like, I had a hesitation to talk about this shit because, you know, I realized that like I haven't really failed at anything in life that I really tried. And so it kind of gave me this like feeling of like, yo, you can do anything.
Yeah.
And if you believe that and you fail and you can't do it and you like, I gotta stop.
Yeah.
It can fuck with your ego a little bit.
Oh,
You know-
not a little bit.
A lot, right? A lot.
Knock you down a couple pegs.
Yeah, you be hurting a little bit, like, damn. So there was a period where I just was kind of trying to look at myself like, am I a failure? What did I do wrong? Like trying to fight it and fight it and fight it. And it ultimately, you kind of realize that like trying to fight it to some extent could just dig the hole deeper.
Yeah.
And that sense of pride that you have can be dangerous and make you lose objectivity about what's going on. And so ultimately in January, I kind of was like, look, I got to shut it down because it's just not making sense anymore and just stop and regroup. But a lot went into it. And, you know, I'll start from like the beginning of this. And so people can kind of understand what went into it is like, shit started out pretty damn good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for me, like I started driving my truck in the beginning of August. Within like 3 weeks of running my truck, I had secured what's called a dedicated lane of freight, which is basically like it's a trip that goes every day at the same time, 7 days a week, the same place. Dedicated lanes in trucking are coveted. A lot of people want them because, you know, it can be irregular. You don't know if you're owner operator, you don't know exactly when you're running if you just operating off the load boards and shit. So you want to be on a dedicated lane or you want to have dedicated freight directly with a customer. I was new, so I couldn't get a lot of freight from certain people, but somehow I ended up getting this dedicated lane to like Springfield, Ohio. It's 45 miles away, right? I pick it up at 8, I drop it at 11 o'clock, 11:30 every night. I'm back home by 1 every night. This shit was ideal. You know what I mean? And so I did that shit. And like between that and other shit I had going on, like my first 8 weeks, 10 weeks, people around me was just struggling. I was like, yo, this shit is going great. Like I can't really complain. You know what I mean? I'm in the truck, but I'm running and I'm running profitably. Like the rates I was running at were really well. I was running no more than 150 miles a day. You know what I'm saying? 150 miles a day. You know, I was home sleeping in my bed pretty much 7 days a week. You know what I'm saying? Unless I decided to stay in Springfield 40 miles away and grab something on the way back and then double my money. But it was like, I didn't have to. So my first 2.5 months was great. Then it was like macro factors started to kind of take over. You know what I'm saying? Like, and by that I mean like the trucking industry itself is in a tough place. Margins are lower. So like gas prices over $4 a gallon for diesel. You know, what specifically happened to me was like, well, trucking rates for freight dropped, tremendously. So whereas maybe you could average $3 a mile, the rate for dry van dropped to like $2 a mile on average, meaning there are people out there willing to run this freight for probably $1.50, some of these $1.80. There are people willing to do that. I was running at $3 a mile, even then, because I was running shorter. So I was running and I had this lane that was doing really well. But overall, that still impacted everybody. But what really hit me the hardest was in like October, the broker that I was with went out of business. They went bust. Huge brokerage, freight brokerage. They went out of business. I was renting a trailer from them as well. And that shit just, it was like I woke up one day, I had 2 weeks of trips scheduled with them. And I was carrying one of their loads. I woke up to run it back to Columbus at like 3:00 in the morning. I was like, okay, I'll be back in Columbus. I got dropped this at 5. I dropped this at 7. I wake up at 5 and dip. I wake up at 5. My phone just got tons of notifications. Ding, 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 ding. Your trip's been canceled. Trip been canceled. Trip been canceled. Job been canceled. Job been canceled. Job been canceled. I looked like, yo, this is 2 weeks of shit that I had canceled and confirmed of work. All canceled all at once. So I was like, damn, maybe something's wrong with my authority. Maybe I forgot something. Something ain't been filed on time. I called them like, yo, is my authority still looking good? They were like, oh no, you're clear. We think it's something that's going on with the vendor, with the shipper. They're canceling trips. We don't know what's going on. We're trying to figure it out right now. I was like, okay, cool. I went and dropped my load there that day, which was with the same people. I got paid immediately after dropping an hour. I go home. I look on their load board to see what's there. Ghost town. They usually be having thousands of jobs on there. Nothing on there. No trips to be ran. And I'm just like, something's not right. And then you start looking around, other people having the same issue. 2 days later, they make an announcement. They ran out of money. They're going out of business. Everybody is stuck. So I'm renting a trailer from them. I got to get my trailer back. And the next 2 weeks of work I had confirmed, all gone. So this was like when shit started getting tough, because it's like I had to scramble. So I'm scrambling to find shit every day. I'm doing okay. Not what I was doing. But then some weeks I'd be up a little more, but some weeks it was just hit or miss at that point. And then I had to get a trailer, which took me a week to 2 weeks to get the trailer. So that's already messing with your profits. By the time I get the trailer, I get another dedicated lane, but it's further away. It costs me a little bit more to do it, a little more time. I'm spending more time away from home. I'm still up though, because I'm like, okay, I'm still running profitably. Not what I was, I'm running further, but I got some consistent work now. This is around early November. Week of Thanksgiving, transmission in the truck starts acting up, shuts down like the 21st of November. Now, I knew it wasn't like I knew it had something to do with the computer in my truck, because physically my shit was still all right. It's just like my shit would lose track of where it was at in terms of like the computer talking to the truck. So I'm thinking, okay, this shouldn't take but like maybe a week or so, to get back up. But I was about 40 miles from home, got it towed in. Long story short, it took until January to get my truck back running. So it's like the week of Thanksgiving, due to everybody being in and out, nothing was getting done. Week after Thanksgiving, find out my mechanic had done something that they didn't fix the problem. Then they got stuck and were like, we can't take it any further without this part. They're like, otherwise you got to just buy this part that we think it is. And that part costs 8 G's. And you probably should just take it to the dealer, because they can test that part and then you don't get charged that, but they're going to charge you for diagnostics and all this other shit. It was like, by the time I had my truck towed around to 2-3 different places, had diagnostics done multiple times, chasing around parts, getting parts reprogrammed, making insurance payments, making trailer payments, waiting 7 weeks to get my truck back. Finally, my account was just done.
And during this time, you're not making no money.
Did not make a dime.
Yeah.
Didn't make a dime.
You're just shelling out.
Shelling out money. Like, people don't understand trucking. Like, I used to think that rat bills was significant.
Not for what you told me. That ain't shit.
Nah, it ain't shit. Dude, trucking is different. What I didn't understand about trucking is like, everybody in trucking is kind of set up to like take advantage of truckers, to remove the money from truckers' pockets. You know what I mean? Like every fucking thing. Like there's nothing in trucking that's cheap. Like when you think about getting diagnostics on your car, you're like, oh yeah, it's like $150, right?
Yep.
You don't like paying that shit. Like that's too much for them to just hook it up to this damn computer, get these codes. I paid a total of 3 G's just in diagnostics for my truck. Just in diagnostics. The first 1,500 didn't even figure out the problem. The wrong thing. They didn't even get it right. The second 1,500 was at the dealer who got it right. But they was trying to wax me so hard on the fix, I had to get it towed up out of there and get it fixed at the original place. That's just diagnostics. Towing, another 3 G's. These are the things that you don't think about when you rapping. When you doing music full time, you like, oh man, I can't believe that, this hosting is $30 a month.
Right.
What you mean I gotta pay $500 for a music video? Oh, fuck that. Do it myself. Let me get my iPhone. You be mad. That's a real bill to you in music.
Yeah.
Trucking is a whole nother fucking monster, man. It's another monster. You gotta have bread to get into it. Shit, they charge you just to get out of it. You know what I mean? Like me getting out of trucking ain't free. Motherfuckers like, oh, you gotta file this thing. You gotta pay this much for them to get you out. I'm like, what? $500 just for me to quit? Like, damn.
Yeah, you gotta pay to quit.
You seriously do. It's like that, man. And so just like the demoralizing aspect of just watching all this money go out of my account, in addition to the money that I initially put into it to buy the truck and to get the truck fixed over 6 weeks, and just feeling helpless. Like helpless. Like you buy the part. The parts for my truck were not even expensive that it took to fix my truck. When it's all said and done, fixing my truck really only cost $1,500 between parts and labor. Everything else, though, 10 times that. Bro, you talk about just like helpless and sick, watching just withdrawal after withdrawal after charge at your account, and you can't run your truck. You're not making no money, and they waxing you every time you turn around. It's like, this is fucked up. And so like around December, I was ultimately like, man, since I ain't doing it, because I went home thinking I was gonna get my truck back right after Thanksgiving. So I went to Alabama, rushed back from Alabama thinking, okay, my truck will be ready by the time I get back. Not gonna happen. So it wasn't gonna happen, and I was gonna take more parts and more diagnostics and shit. And shit was just moving too slow. So right around the beginning of December, I was like, you know what, man? This could end up taking till Christmas. They're telling me it's gonna take 2 weeks to program this computer. That gotta be in there, gotta be sent here. You gotta take your old one off, take it over there for them to get it. They gotta reprogram it, send it there. They gotta get it, you know what I'm saying? Pull codes off of it, send it back. This is the kind of shit I was going through. This shit takes weeks when you're going through it from Thanksgiving to Christmas to New Year's. Any other time of the year, this whole thing probably would have taken 2 weeks max. It took
holidays in the middle.
Yeah, in the middle. Everybody was in and out. Shipping was terrible. It was like I caught a bad a bad wave. Mm-hmm. You know how you have good waves where like you can do no wrong and everything, every shot falling. Sometimes you have a bad wave where you can't buy a basket. Like I couldn't hit a bucket. I couldn't hit the side of a barn. You know what I'm saying? It was like nothing was falling. I hit one of those, man. And but I was like, you know what? Since I'm not doing nothing in here, I can't drive. Let me just shift over back to music and see what music is looking like right now. Because remember, like I kind of stopped doing music full time at the end of 21.
Yep.
Because I was like, there was nothing there. It was kind of dead. Everything was still kind of shut down from the pandemic, and people wasn't working, and it was this real fucked up time. And started doing shit in December. December was looking good. I was like, oh shit. This might be all right. I was like, but I still thought I was gonna get my truck back at like around Christmas. Because I was like, if I get my truck back around Christmas, I can run that week. I can run a week of New Year's, and I can have the money for my insurance payment, trailer payment, and I ain't got to come out of no money for that shit, and I'll be good to go by the time, and I have another week in January to run for all this shit due, and I could be at least in the game again.
Yeah.
When my shit didn't come back till January, I was just like defeated, man. It was like I picked up my truck and I was just sad. I was sad, man. Like, you know, you're supposed to be happy you pick up your truck. Your truck run. Oh, my truck running. My transmission fixed. Bro,
Yeah,
I
nah.
was sad.
Well, I mean, it's but the thing is, I think with all that you put into it,
Yeah.
you know, all the, you know, not even just the time to go through and get your CDLs, the time to really learn and understand just the industry in itself. And, you know, like we've had a lot of conversations off, you know, air about this shit, but you moved extremely fast in comparison to most truckers. You know, you were able to move in and get your own authority within the first year, you know, year and a half of you know, getting your CDLs and driving. So for it to come to that, you know, not even 2 years deep, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then you sitting there with no money in your account. You was just sitting on, you know, 10, 11, you know what I mean?
Gone.
And within a month, all of that's gone.
Gone.
And it's like, I can completely understand. It's like having a child that you sink all of this stuff in, and you know the potential, and then you know what I'm saying, and then then they end up, you know,
gang banging
going
or
to
shit.
gang banging or going to jail because
Right.
they robbed a convenience store. But
yeah, you're like,
you know
why,
what I mean?
Son? Why?
Yeah. So I completely understand why you were sad and probably kind of depressed a little bit.
Bruh.
You know?
Yeah, December it was just like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I never felt more helpless. Like, cause like, yo, I'm at the mercy of people who don't even know the problem of the truck. They're just figured out, and I'm paying $160 to $250 an hour for them to guess.
Yeah.
Killing me. You know what I mean? It's like, and by the time you get it back, you're like, yo, now I got the decision of, if I keep going and something happens, then I'm pulling from the last of my bread. I got to pull more money out to put into this business now.
Yeah. Then you pulling from your personal.
Yes.
What people don't understand is all the money that you spent on this is the money that you made from it.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So luckily you didn't have to go into your personal pocket. But all the money that you made from the business within that year and a half that you was, you know, doing it, all of that went into, you know,
put it right back in.
into.
And to see that shit gone, you just like, but I was like, at least I have to, because I was faced with the limit, like, yo, you can get out of this with a little bit of money if you don't get this motherfucker fixed, if you just call it quits now. But I was like, I need to at least get the truck fixed, because that's the asset. And then at least at that point, if it's running, whether I sell it to somebody, whether I come back in later, I have that option on the table. And so I knew that doing that was going to wipe me out. But I was like, yo, I really didn't feel like I had much of a choice. But then at the same time, it's like music was looking like, yo, come on back over here, champ.
Yeah, we over here chilling, bro. What up?
Yeah, I'm looking at music like, damn, it's looking spiffy over there. Like, it's looking real spiffy over there. And so December, I just experimented. I just went as hard as I could. Every email I got, I responded. You know what I mean? Couldn't do that when I was driving the truck. Hit everybody back, had time to do everything. All the business that was coming in, I just handled it. And I looked up and I was like, yo, this is a great month. You know? I was like, okay. And then the other thing that happened was, as my truck is dying, I'm getting my new record back from manufacturing, the new EP. And I'm like, this is the point I wanted to get to anyway. I didn't want to get out of trucking, but I feel like it's almost happening by force. I don't have a choice. But I have this option because now I got a record that's on deck that I paid for a year ago. You know what I mean? Because I knew it was going to be a long time. Like, pay for that record a year. It took a full year for that record to get manufactured. So it's like, I have this option. And so ultimately, after a lot of thoughts, a lot of just like going back and forth, talking to my people in trucking about what I should do, what they would do. And like, I ultimately was like, yo, I got to park it, man. I got to park it. And so park the truck, shut down my authority, you know, went back to doing music full time. And so far, it's been a very, very good decision. And shit has been beautiful, honestly, to see the support that's there for me in music, you know, being gone all these years. And so, but I tell this story because, you know, I was definitely down about this for a while. And there was points where I even wasn't sure whether I even wanted to talk about this. You know, it feels embarrassing sometimes. I feel like you failed at something.
Yeah.
Especially something you put so much in financially and you commit so much time to, you know, to learning and becoming good at, and to see like the factors that are in it just like take you out. Like, damn, I'm out. I gotta chill now for shit get real bad. You know what I mean? It can fuck you up a little bit, but over time, the more I think about it, the more I do on this side of things, and I see that this is where I'm supposed to be. You know, it's like, hey, there's some lessons here about failing and about calling it quits, and that's what we're gonna talk about today. So that's the long story. And so we're gonna take a break and we're gonna talk about some of these lessons that I learned, and I hope that you guys get something out of this, because a lot of this shit can be applied to anything that you're doing in life. And I hope that there's some things in here, and I believe that there are some things in here that will help you if you are having a tough time at something. Decide not only whether to quit, but when to quit. And if quitting is even quitting at all. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll take a break and we'll be right back.
Word.
This is your weekly reminder that we have 2 books that you, as a listener or watcher of this podcast, need to absolutely own. The first is The 10 Traits of Successful Hip Hop Artists, and the second is The Social Media Cheat Code. Both of these books were released within the last year. The 10 Traits of Successful Hip Hop Artists is a book where I go through the stories and explain the traits that are behind the success of some of the biggest names in hip hop today. The book has got nothing but amazing feedback. And if you are an artist, business person, whatever you do, if you would like to be inspired and would like to learn more about hip hop along the way, and also see some reinforcement of the concepts that we talk about on this podcast, The 10 Traits of Successful Hip Hop is for you. Second book is The Social Media Cheat Code. That is for everyone who listens to this podcast who does not consider themselves an expert or really good at social media. It's not for super experienced people. It's actually for people who are on social media but are not getting the results you need. So what we did is I broke down like 12 or 13 strategies that I use all the time that actually work really well for me. I put it into book. I gave you examples and I tell you how to implement it. That's a book you absolutely need as a listener to this podcast, watcher of this podcast. If you're on YouTube, supporting these books actually goes a long way towards supporting the podcast. So to support the show, if you like what we do, obviously we don't necessarily get paid to do this shit. So support the products and services that we create. And these 2 books are a big part of that. We appreciate your support, and back to the show. What's up, everybody? Got some big news to share with you all today. I'm proud to announce that for the first time, I will be opening up my artist coaching and consulting services to the public. I have been doing it for several years behind the scenes, helping artists and small businesses achieve their goals, but it's never been something that I made publicly available, nor anything that I promoted until now. So if you're an artist or a small business owner, I'm now available to be booked for one-on-one sessions designed to help you achieve your goals as quickly and as efficiently as possible. If this is something that you're interested in, email me at superdutytoughwork@weightless.net. Tell me a little bit about yourself and we'll get the ball rolling from there. I look forward to working with you all. Peace. All right, folks, we're back. Super Duty Tough Work, Blueprint, a Logic. This week we're talking about knowing when to call it quits. Shit is very real in the field.
Yes. Yeah.
You win some, you lose some, but hey, still here. And all in all, things are looking like they're going to work out in the best way possible. So we're going to talk about lessons that I've learned from what I just went through and the 2 years of that and this failure that I'm dealing with. And the first lesson that I'm thinking about, that I came to the conclusion, and this is before really anything involving is that no risk, no reward is lesson number one. Because even though I am down in trucking and I felt like, damn, I'm a fucking failure, none of my people around me look at it like that. Like,
Nope.
everybody around me is like, bro, you just did something that in 18 months you did what motherfuckers haven't done in 5 years, 10 years.
Yep.
You learn what you need to learn. You still got the skill. You can still make money on trucking anytime you want to if you decide to go back into that.
Yep.
And like, we actually look at you in a good light because you took a risk that other people would be terrified to take.
Very true.
In my mind, it doesn't necessarily work like that. In my mind, I look at it like very absolute. But the truth of the matter is that I was willing to take on a risk because the potential reward is there.
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to sit here and like bash trucking or act like the reward ain't there at certain levels. There is money in trucking. There's money in any industry. You just have to be able to weather the storm long enough to get to the reward. I couldn't make it through the shit that happened to me in November to December because it took so fucking long and it took so much fucking out of me that and the timing lined up with me trying to get back into this shit. But what it made me think about is like, you should never have shame about failing at stuff like this because like, you are doing something that 90%, 95% of Americans will never do.
Yeah.
To most,
Don't even think about doing.
never. They'll drive a truck all day, never think I could own a truck.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like they'll watch trucks on the freeway and never think, yo, and be hating their job and never think, yo, I should go get my CDL real quick.
Yep.
I don't like my job. I should try that out. And then just work and do well. And like, I still have a clean motor vehicle record. I can still do anything I want to do in trucking. I can get any job I want to, you know, but it's one of those things where it's like, I had to take on some risk to do it. And as far as the reward, if I subtract this loss with my truck, my trucking company, everything else in trucking has been a positive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I took on a risk because during COVID and all of that shit, there was no way to make money in music. You know, I was done. And so it's like, trucking has got me on my feet. Trucking got me set up to where now I come back into this so much better positioned.
Yeah.
Doing and able to do things now and focus on things now that I couldn't, you know, in 21, 22. I couldn't do that. Come back in into 23, 24. It's like, oh, because you did that, because you were able to get back on your feet financially, now you come into this better.
Yeah.
So even though I couldn't take it all the way there at this point with the truck, I still got a reward out of it that justified doing it in the first place, you know?
Yeah, it's with anything. Personally, if you are going into something and you have an idea of how it's supposed to go in your mind, you have plans, you have goals.
Mm-hmm.
When you don't reach those, personally, it feels like, damn, I didn't do what I set out to do, so it didn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you take a step back and you look at things from a macro level and not everything so micro, you see all of the things that you learned. You know, there's a saying, you know, I never fail, I either win or I learn.
Yep.
You know, like this is a situation like that because, you know, certain things that me and you have talked about that came kind of out of this, you know, how to stack up your business account to make sure that you can cover any losses that you incur or have the bread to invest into your, you know, your music career. You learn, you know, you kind of learn that thing from there.
Yeah.
There's just certain ways of how to move business wise that you took from that experience that has allowed you to put yourself in a certain position musically.
Yeah.
To do certain things going forward. So, you know, we always, if we have an idea in our heads and then we don't reach that, that goal, and we don't get across that specific finish line, of course we're going to feel like, we didn't do what we set out to do because we invest our time and our money into it.
Yeah.
But, again, you got to just take a step back and see like, okay, what did I learn from this situation? How can I make, even though I didn't get exactly where I wanted to go, how can I take what I got from this and turn it into a positive and use those ideas and use those lessons that I've learned to forward me in the next thing that I do. And I think that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm one of those people that's like, you didn't fail at all. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you may not have got exactly where you wanted to go with that,
Yeah.
but because you did that, now you're stronger over here in this thing.
Yeah. 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 It's true. It's true. Yeah. It's just, when you're going through it, you just be like, damn. And I'm a hyper
yeah, of
competitive
course.
motherfucker. Like, I don't,
Yeah.
like, I'm one of the people, like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm like, but you realize, like, some things are bigger than you.
Yeah.
And like you're saying, like, there are things that I got out of that shit that I think that have already helped me tremendously. Just in the last 2 months, I've been doing music again full time. It's like there's something else that I've added to what I was doing that I wasn't doing before.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I would have had that or saw that had I not done this. I had to leave music to kind of get this other piece from trucking. And now I'm like, okay, if that ends up being what I got from it, that's going to allow me to do this at a higher level than I ever did it before.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it was a departure, but it's looking like it might end up being the best thing for me. You know what I mean? Because it just makes you like hungry again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, that's number one. No risk, no reward. You got to be willing to risk something to get a reward. And another thing I'll add to that is like the risk of buying my own truck was that I knew ultimately I didn't want to be a company driver long term.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be able to be self-employed, whether it's driving a truck or doing this. And so as soon as I bought the truck, I was basically self-employed again, which opened a door for me to come back over here, which would have been even more difficult if I had a job. So it kind of it did work out on that front. So that's number one. Number two lesson in all of this that I think I learned about failure is that you have to be able to define failure. By that, I mean, when we look at things, we have a very easy time defining success.
Yep. Very easy.
If you ask somebody what success look like, they say, I want to do this. Okay, what's that look like? They can tell you every fucking thing about it. I'm going to be doing this every day. I'm going to be making this much. I'm going to be living here. This is going to be my lifestyle. I'm going to be around these people. This is what it look like, feel like, taste like, smell like. They can tell you to the most minute detail. But if you ask this person about that same endeavor, what does failure look like? You'll get a blank stare.
Yeah, because nobody plans on failing.
Right. You don't.
So you have no idea. You have no idea what it
idea.
looked like. You ain't thinking about it.
You're not thinking about it. And that's what I learned is like, because you don't define failure in the same way you define success, you don't know when you're failing.
Mm.
And because you don't know when you're failing, you don't know how to adjust properly.
Yeah.
Right? And another thing that's worse is that because you ain't defined failure, you will move the goalpost all over the fucking place before you change what you are doing and admit something that's not going right.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it made me think about this because as I'm going through this, I'm like, I feel like such a failure because the way I did not clearly define failure at the beginning. I define success, and anything that don't look like success is failure, but that's not true.
Right.
If I'd have really looked at it like failure is not just, I don't achieve this huge goal in trucking and I make X amount. It's not that. It's not that. Sometimes failure is just simply like, hey, if I do this for this amount of time and I don't hit this little benchmark, or I'm unable to spend this much time on it, or I'm unable to do this and I can't build this relationship and this thing isn't moving, what do I do then?
Yeah.
What do I do? What I see a lot of times, this is a lesson I'm definitely taking back to music, is not people who can't define success. It's people who can't define failure.
Yeah.
And because they can't define failure, they stick with things that don't work too fucking long. You know? And that lesson is something that kind of leads into the third lesson of this whole shit to me, which is fail faster.
Yes.
I was having a conversation with some friends about this, and I'm like, when you're 20 or 25, you can fail slow as fuck.
Yeah, because you got time. You got time.
You got time. You 18 to 25, even 30, you can fail longer.
Mm-hmm.
Because number one, because you have less, your fall is not as far.
Right.
Because you have not climbed so high, your fall won't be as far. So when you're in your 20s, your goal should be to try as many things as you can that you're good at, and to fail as long as possible. As long as it takes for you to learn that thing, keep failing, because eventually something's going to stick. But as you get older, you cannot fail as long anymore.
Nah.
You know what I mean? Like, you got family, children, you can't fail for 10 years no more.
Oh, nah. Shoot, 1 year is pushing it.
Too
You know, that
much.
could put you in a place, put you in a
Right.
bad place for a
Right.
long time.
Right. Bills got to be paid.
Yeah.
It's too far to fall. As you get older, you start having things, you have more to risk. You
Mhm.
have less time to recover.
Yes.
And so this is not to say don't go hard. It's actually to say the opposite. As you get older, the more intense you need to be about everything you're fucking learning.
Mhm.
Anything you're trying in your 40s, you need to be all gas, no brakes.
Yep.
Learn it as quickly as possible. Go as hard as possible. Immerse yourself in it, because you don't have time to fail for 10 more years.
Yeah. You don't got time to play.
Mm-mm.
You know, as you get older, if you start new things, you have to understand quickly, is this for me or not?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because you don't have time to play. You don't have time to take 5 years and,
Mhm.
you know, try it out and, you know, see if it works. You don't have that time,
Yeah, man.
you know? Like when I picked up the camera, it was like, either I'm gonna learn this shit or I'm not gonna learn this shit, you know?
Yep.
And I learned it quick, started shooting my own videos, started taking photos, all of that stuff, because it was something that I wanted to do, something I knew I could do and generate money and add to my portfolio of things. But I didn't have time to, well, let me see if I like it. You know,
Right,
let me
right.
see if this, let me see. Nah, you don't got time for that when you're older,
Mhm.
especially when you got responsibilities and you're responsible for people other than yourself. You have to get in there and kind of have more of a idea that this is definitely something I want to do before you even get into it.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Because financially with shit like that, you got to invest. And
Facts.
depending on your responsibilities outside of, you know, whatever you got to do, bills, children, you know, house payment, mortgage,
Mhm.
you know, car payments, all of that stuff, you can't afford to sink $1,000 into something and it not return.
Right.
You can't afford that.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
So you got to kind of have an idea of the things that you want to do and things that you know you can commit yourself to before you even take that step, because sometimes the risk is way too high to just be out here, you know, freestyling.
Exactly. Yeah, man. Yeah, that's my biggest thing, because and I went into this with that. Like when I look at just like my timetable in trucking, I moved like a person who did not have 10 years to decide if trucking was for me.
Right.
I didn't move like this. I needed to go through all levels of this thing to know, like, is it for me? What are the risks? How deep does this hole go? Can I be successful? Do I have the constitution for it? So like, get my CDL, start driving as a solo driver, 2022. Drive for a year. Leave that, as soon as I get my year in, I leave that job, get another job, drive for 2 months, leave that job, get a truck a month later. Have my own truck for 5 months. When I got my own truck, I only had like 13 months of driving experience, 14 months of driving experience.
Yep.
Like I still don't have 2 full years of driving experience. I literally only drove a truck for a total of like 18 months now. But in that whole time, company driver, 2 jobs, hazmat, tanker, you know what I'm saying? Got my own truck, fixed my truck, got my truck fixed up, got my own authority, worked with brokers, got dedicated freight, got dedicated lanes, more established, got all this shit. It was like got in, got out, and it was like I moved like, hey, I don't have time to learn this in 5 years.
Yeah, I don't got time to play.
No time to play.
You know what I mean?
No
time.
And my advice to anybody, if you're younger, you have time to get in there and fail. In fact, fail as much as possible. The more you fail when you're younger, the more you're going to fucking learn and build some skills that'll help you the rest of your life.
Yep.
But as you get older, you definitely have to keep your eye on the fucking clock. Do not drag out any failure for too long. As quickly as possible, be honest with yourself. As we said in the previous step, define failure clearly. Because defining failure clearly is going to let you know how long you should stay in that shit.
Yep.
Like if I know that if I can't learn this skill and that part of it, I can't get to here within this amount of time, I got to be out.
Yep.
I got to pivot. I can't risk as much. I got to pull back some. If I can be here or there, in that amount, then I'm okay. I'm going to keep going to the next level to go through the next door. But if you're not going through any doors and you're older, you're going to have to be very careful about how much you invest. And maybe that thing should be a hobby. Maybe that thing should, but if you're talking about at a professional high level, you have to be willing to fail quickly, which means you have to be willing to put everything in quickly. And you got to know yourself to make that decision. So,
yep.
That's something I learned out of that. So those are the first 3. I think we got a total of 7. We'll take a break and we'll be right back with the last part. Quick announcement. Over the last several years, we've been asked many times by the listeners of the show if we would ever open it up to the public for advertising. We've always been interested in this, but we never had the systems in place to make it work properly. I'm proud to announce that we are officially accepting advertising from the public on Super Duty Tough Work. Meaning, if you're a small business owner or an artist and you'd like to create more awareness about your product, service, or release on the Super Duty Tough Work podcast, we're now in a position to do that. For more information, email us at superdutytoughwork@weightless.net. Again, that's superdutytoughwork@weightless.net. Email us there. Tell us a little bit about who you are, what you would like to promote, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible to let you know if we think it's a good fit and what the next steps are. Thank you for your time. Back to the show. Are you an artist who has the talent to succeed, but has a hard time executing? Do you have the will to win, but lack the plan? Are you tired of having great ideas that never come to fruition, or starting new projects but never finishing them? If you answered yes to any of these questions, reach out to me at superdutytoughwork@weightless.net to book a one-on-one coaching call. Tell me a little bit about who you are, what you're trying to do, and I'll see if I can be of service to you. Have a great day. All right, folks, we back. Talking about, knowing when to call it quits. And, we got 4 more joints. Lessons from this whole thing. I hope y'all are getting something out of this. Lesson number 4 is have a stopping point. Have a stopping point. There's this concept in trading called stop loss. So if you make a trade, a stop loss is basically this. It's like an instrument or like a tool, a feature you can use that says, if this stop, like I'm going to make this trade. I may not be around when I make this trade, You know, this
Mhm.
trade, when this thing reaches this price, purchase it. But if it reaches this price, sell it.
Yeah.
So if you buy something and it's starting to drop past the limit that you feel comfortable with, you put in what's called a stop loss. You enter the price for that stop loss and say, at this price, I'm out. At this, as long as it's doing this, I'm in. It can lose a little bit, but when it gets to this point, my stop loss is activated. The trade is made automatically. I don't have to be sitting there to do it. I don't have to decide to do it because this shit can happen so fast. You might not even be able to get it.
Mhm.
The stop loss concept is a trading concept, but like we should be doing it in everything we do.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those things that should define failure. Like when I got into getting my own authority, buying my own truck, I had a dollar amount. It was like, after this dollar amount, you out, bruh.
Yeah.
You are out of here. Like, you don't want to get to that dollar amount. I'm willing to dabble in if I know I could get it back and get back in business. Maybe I'll mess around, throw another little bit in there. But it's like, I had a limit, and that limit got hit. There was an option at the end. I didn't get chased out. I didn't lose my way out. My truck is running. I could still go in. I'm not totally broke. I could put more money into my trucking business and thug it out some more if I wanted to.
Mhm.
But on principle, I've had to be very clear with myself and honest with myself about, yo, you did your best within that time period. You told yourself, if you lose more than that, you got to be out.
Mhm.
And when you lost that, you had to be out. It's a tough decision because part of me is like, nah, I know I could turn it around if I just,
Yeah.
but I got to look at the numbers on the paper and be like, nah, Al, you did everything you could in that amount of time. You threw everything at it you could. It hit that number. You got to be content with walking away.
And that's the hardest part, is understanding that it's time to walk away from something, especially something that you invest in and you put time in and you put money in and you really want to, and it's really something you want to do.
Yes.
It's really something that you want to go after. You got to understand, like, if I get to a point where it is not lucrative financially or it's too much stress, then it's worth. You know what I'm saying? Like, there has to be a point in your, in doing stuff
Yes.
where you have to say, okay, I can no longer take these losses. I
Yeah.
can no longer lose out on this energy that I'm putting towards this thing.
Yeah.
I have to put this towards something else that is going to benefit me, either financially or just personally, just as a human being.
Mhm.
Because I think something like trucking, especially with the kind of money that you was telling me that that you had to use to fix the truck,
Yes.
that can be physically and emotionally and mentally daunting and terrifying and really fucking weigh you down.
Yes.
So understanding to get that weight off of you, and just knowing like, okay, I did everything that I could do. Because the thing is, a lot of people that may not understand trucking, and I didn't until you explained it to me, but everything that you did, most people don't do in 10 years.
Right.
You did that shit in less than 2. So, talking about throwing everything into something, the fact that you basically went through the whole gambit of trucking pretty much in 2 years. You got to a point where you understood, like, okay, it's, what I'm saying? It's time. It's
Yep.
time. I can't, even though I want to, I can't do it. I've done everything and it's just not working, the way that I hoped it would work.
Yeah.
So it's time for me to take what I've learned and put it into something else. And luckily, we'll talk about this later, but luckily you had the option
Yes.
to pivot and you had something else already waiting and already kind of prepared for you, to move on to and utilize what you learned in trucking in that other thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man. So that's number 4. Number 5, lesson. Everybody takes losses. Everybody takes losses, even in music. Like,
Mhm.
I don't want anybody to think that this is just some specific to trucking. It's not. Like, we've all invested in music. We all got products sitting around for some record that don't move like the other records.
Come on, bro.
dead stock.
Dead stock.
Just be like, yo, that joint, I really like that joint, but it just don't move like them joints.
$5 CD sale, bro.
Hey, you know, you got lost leaders and whatnot. Gotta move them joints.
Yeah.
It happens. We all have tours we do, shows we do that financially don't work. You catch a bad one. I've had bad tours I've done where I saw fucking 10 people every stop all week. Like, damn.
Yeah.
Came back a year or two later and motherfuckers was packed. You know what I'm saying? Like, it happens. You're like, damn, okay, now it's 100 people there. It was fucking 10 people last time. Or I came here before. I never had a good show in the city. Then I finally had a show in the city in a good venue and fucking packed it the first time. I had a good, okay. Everybody takes losses. In between then, you doing shows and you're not making what you thought you should have made. There's always going to be some investment. And so you should be prepared for that at every level. But I've had to learn to not internalize my losses because I'm no different than anybody else in that shit.
Yeah.
In fact, like everybody, every trucker I talked to about this shit was like, hey, bruh, everything you going through is exactly what happens to everybody in their first year.
Yep.
Everything that you're going through. And until you get to that point where you got your maintenance fund super chunky, you can be taken out of the game at any minute. That's what everybody told me. And that's what happened.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I knew the risk, but I was in it. And so I also knew, like, okay, man, these guys are telling me, like, I had guys tell me shit that losses they took make my loss look small in comparison.
Mm.
Guys who were in it, like the dude I was renting my trailer from, this motherfucker bought a whole new trailer for like 8-10 G's. Because I rented his trailer. He goes and buys another trailer for 8-10 G's. Finds out a week after buying it that there was something wrong with the trailer that the seller hid from him. It's going to cost him another 8-10 G's.
Mm.
Sick. These are trucking bills. Way different than rap bills. Like the trucking shit different. It's not the same. Like you'd be like, oh yeah, vinyl, some CDs are gonna cost me $1,000. Wow, you look at some of these trucking receipts I got. That shit'll make your head spin.
Yeah.
But everybody takes losses as part of it. And you shouldn't internalize it. You got to look at it as part of it and just make sure that like you are prepared mentally for that part of the game. Because it's not all roses in everything you do, you know?
Yeah, everything. In everything, people take losses. Everybody takes losses. The people that you see as the most successful people
Yeah.
have taken losses, even in the journey to their success. While they've been successful, they've tried other things that just didn't work. You know, they invested money that they didn't get back. You know, they invested time they didn't get back. You know, for music, there's all of us have put out a record, might not have hit like that last record. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But that's okay because that kind of thing happens to all of us. So it's not a reflection on you as a person, as a business person, as an artist, as you know, whatever you're getting into. It's not a reflection on you. Nothing is ever perfect. Nobody ever hits every shot that they take.
Yep.
Never happens. You know, there's always a percentage of people that ain't going to get to that point, you know, that they hope they would.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So that's number 5. Lesson number 6. Have options. The biggest blessing in this whole thing for me is, as you mentioned earlier, having something else that I'm really good at that has been my primary thing for 20 plus years.
Yep.
And the timing of that shit working out just as the timing of the trucking thing was getting bad. My timing over there was getting tough. Time over here was getting good. A lot of people don't have that.
Nope.
A lot of people, if your primary thing goes, if your main stream of income is not doing well, they're devastated. And more so than just being devastated financially or emotionally, you know, they can't just go get that same kind of money somewhere else.
Right.
You know, it's very tough. I have been very, very fortunate, you know, and it's really hitting me more now than ever for the time that I have in the music and for the relationships I've built up, fans I've built up, followings, and through the work that we've put in over the last 20, 25 fucking years, that hey, this gives you some options that many people don't have. You know, one of my partners in trucking, my guy who trained me, Steve, he lost his job. He got fired like the same week my truck broke down.
Mm.
But because he had a bunch of stuff on his driving record, accidents and stuff, it took him 7-8 weeks to find a job. He didn't get a job until my truck was done. It took him to like January to get a job.
Crazy.
And so it's tough, but he couldn't go anywhere else because trucking is his main and only thing.
Yeah.
Whereas he talked to me, he's like, "What you gonna do, Al?" I'm like, "Man, I don't know. I'm gonna sit at the house for a minute."
He's like, how?
Yeah, he's like, "How, man? How?" I'm like, "Look, I'm not gonna. I can't tell this motherfucker that Al is blueprint, but it's more like, hey, bro, I'm just gonna figure something out. I'm gonna see what else is out here before I hop back in over there." The power of options. Whatever you do in life, my advice to anybody: have your main thing, but cultivate other skills.
Yes.
Once you find yourself reaching like a high level of mastery in your main thing, do not be afraid to go out and cultivate other skills, because at some point those other skills could save you from financial, emotional, devastation.
Yeah.
They could create lanes for you that maybe your main thing didn't have, and everything has a peak and a valley. You may be in a situation where your main thing was going slow, but this other thing that you've been building on the side starting to pop off a little bit. You can hop over there and get money anytime you want to, and that's very important because it allows you to move a little more freely and to take a little more risks with what you do. Options.
Yeah, I mean, I had to deal with this when it was during the pandemic, and a lot of people don't know the correlation, but my wife was diagnosed with cancer, and a few weeks after her diagnosis, I got laid off from my job at the time. Luckily, I have music, and that's when Autopilot came out. That was during the pandemic. That's when I was streaming a lot. That's when I was really diving into utilizing my camera, making a lot of video content, all of that stuff. Music, having that option to move to that and focus on that without having a regular job, but also going through this emotional and, financial hit, having that option allowed me to focus on taking care of my wife, and still getting my bills paid, because I was able to move into music and really focus on it and put that album out. And, I was blessed to have fans that, funded basically that year that I was out of work.
Yeah.
And I was able to, pay bills and still get food and still do all of that because I had the option to move over to somewhere else. And like you said, a lot of people don't set themselves up to have something else that supplements, their lifestyle. And even if it can't supplement to the point where your regular job does, you have something that brings in enough money to where you can survive until you get to something else that, is at the same level that you are at. So having options can save your life, in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a fact, man. Yeah. That's a beautiful example. And yeah, we both done it at this point now in the last few years.
Yeah.
It's like you have your main thing, you got something else. And like what I realized now was like, because I took 1.5 years to go cultivate the skill over there, I can move more freely over here now.
Right.
Because the feeling that I had before was like, it's all or nothing. If I ain't making money at this, I'm screwed.
Yeah.
And then when the pandemic shut the whole shit down, I was like, whoa, I'm screwed. I'm fucked.
I need something else.
Need something else. Now I can sleep at night knowing that if this don't work out, I can go right back over there and I can drive for anybody.
Yeah.
I can go right back over there and I can run my truck if I want to. I can put 1 year in over there, stack some bread, come right back over here. I didn't have that option at all before. But now that I got some experience and the time in such a quick amount of time, I'm coming back over here with a whole different level of like confidence because I got more options.
And you can take more risk.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because you have something to fall back on. It's just like, when you're in high school and, you want to be a basketball player and your parents always like, make sure them grades is up because you got to have something to fall back on. You got, what if you, break your ankle? What you break your leg? You can't play ball no more. What you going to do? It's the same with anything in life. You always got to have something else to fall back on because if your main thing goes away, you screwed.
Mm-hmm. It's a fact, man. That's a fact. So we got one more joint, and this was one that I just thought of the other day, and it was more about just like sometimes we think we fail because we forget that we proved our original point. So this is about like proving your original point, and sometimes we look at it like, hey, I want to do this, and I'm very guilty of this. I'll do something. And then I'll do it. I'll be like, damn, that was awesome. Thank you, Lord, for blessing me with helping me achieve this. Now, if I could just get that though, I'll really be tight. And I'm like, then I get that. And I'm like, okay, well, but now that I got these two things, if I can just do that, now I'm okay. That would be really great. Then God give you that. And then you like, but you see that thing over there though? That's really the one.
Right.
You achieve 5 things beyond your original point. Beyond your original goal, you got that and you went 4 steps beyond it, but you think you a failure because the 5th one didn't work.
Yeah.
And it's like, nah, you proved your original point. You're a success because you did the original thing. All this other shit is not the cake. It's the icing on the cake.
I'm guilty of this too. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I realize about myself, like, yo, I'm always moving the goalpost on myself. And what it really does is it make you not grateful for what you've done.
Yep, exactly.
Like everything, all the blessings you have, you can overlook them if you keep moving that goalpost.
Yeah.
Never stop to say, yo, thank you. This in and of itself is enough. This is beautiful. I'm happy. I'm content with this. Anything else is just icing on the cake. It's not the cake. The cake is already here.
Yeah.
This is enough. Sure, if we throw more on, that'll work. But I can stop right here and be content with what I've achieved.
Yeah, you got to take time to celebrate your wins.
Yeah, man.
Everybody has goals, and we all do that. I think artists especially, we're so guilty of doing this. You have things that you want to do. You have things that you want to achieve. And when you achieve those things, then we're looking at the next mountain we got to climb. We're looking at the next, obstacle that we got to get over. We're not taking the time to say like, I just did that. You know what I'm saying? Like this just happened. I achieved this thing that has been eluding me for however, long you've been trying to achieve it. We always like, okay, I got that. Now I got to get this. I got that. Now I got to get this. I got that. Now. Instead of just stopping to say, yo, like I did that thing. You know what I'm saying? I put this fucking record out. You know what I'm saying? Like I put this record out. I recoup my money. Okay. Now, I got to get the tour. You know what I'm saying? Now, if the tour ain't successful, then I failed. No,
right.
your original goal was to put the record out and break even.
Yep.
And you did that.
Yeah.
So if the tour don't work out, okay, that's just some extra.
Yeah.
That didn't work out. But my original goal was to put the record out, break even. I did that. People like the record. Let me celebrate that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Let me be happy with that. But, we can't, man. Our egos don't let us do that. As artists, our egos don't let us do that. It's so simple, though.
Yeah. We just got to keep going, keep adding on and adding on and adding on.
Yep.
Instead of being like, let me stop and celebrate.
U.S. tour did good. Now I got to go to Europe.
Yeah.
Oh, Europe didn't work out. Oh, this shit, everything's messed up now.
Yeah. It's like, nah, man, you're not a failure. You actually proved a point. You know what I mean? So that's it, man. That's it this week, This episode, knowing when to call it quits, the lessons, I'm going to read them back. First one, no risk, no reward. Second one, defining failure. Third one, fail faster. Fourth one, have a stopping point. Number 5, everybody takes losses. Number 6, have options. Number 7, prove your original point. That's it for this week, man. I hope you guys got something out of this. If you're dealing with, losses and anything like that, Hope that this kind of helps you navigate that. And we'll see y'all next week.
Word. Peace.
Peace.
Thank you for listening to Super Duty Tough Work. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. Follow the podcast on SoundCloud. Peace.
Shoot, I got styles already that's more complex that nobody know about. I mean, super duty tough work.